Just want to hit a couple of notes here real quick, talk about a few things, and then we'll kind of get into, I've got a little video presentation and a PowerPoint that everybody can kind of take a look and get a better look at than me instead of just reading off of a sheet. I want to let everyone know I'm super excited. It's a great day to be a Griff. I'm going to try not to move around because last time I got in trouble for moving around too much with the mic and everything, but I get excited about this. But it's a great day to be a Griff. And the first thing I want to talk about is I want to thank my coaching staff, first of all. They did a phenomenal job working this offseason in recruiting. It's been great. They worked so hard, put so much effort in. Obviously, when you come in as a new program, you have to jump into it, get things going right away, and you are just rolling from day one to day two. And these guys worked their tails off. Perfect example, welcome to college football. Scorpio Horn in 1.5 days, almost 2 days, put on 1,200 miles on his rental vehicle. And he was absolutely shocked on how much time that you actually put in and that you're on the road and stuff as well too. But he did a great job in recruiting. And then I want to thank Colin and Derek, the two guys that kind of did a lot of the media stuff. You'll see the PowerPoint presentation and the videos and all that stuff. They've worked tirelessly to make sure all that stuff was done correctly and everything. But really excited about one thing I wanted to focus on is addressing all of our needs as a football staff. You got to look. Obviously, we watched a lot of film from the prior years from the season, and we looked at the guys that were graduating, holes that we might need to fill, and I think we addressed every single one of them, and I feel very, very good about that. The other thing I'm really excited about is the brand that we put across the country. All right, as you look at our signing class and you look at the names and where they're from, we hit Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, and then we hammered Missouri. Did a very, very good job in Missouri as well too, which we will do every year. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed seeing, is that putting actually Griffin brand out in all those different states, and we expanded our areas and we got out further so we can make sure that we can get the top quality athletes that fit our program and the structure that we're looking for. We recruited very aggressively, expanded all of our areas like I talked about, but the one thing that's important to me is that we showed them everything we got here. We showed them the facilities. We showed them all the people in missions, housing, all the way across the campus were great when we had all of the student athletes on campus. But we showed them everything, and we did not beg any one of them. We did not influence any one of them. We showed them everything we got here, and that's great opportunities here at Missouri Western. Every one of them said, I am hungry and I want to be a Griff. I want to be a Griff, and they told us that. And what was great about this whole situation was we had a bunch of different recruiting weekends. The very first 2 weekends, we almost filled up on all of our scholarships. So the prior 2 weekends that we had to do a few cancellations here and there because we were running out. People wanted to be here. People were hungry. People wanted to be a Griff this year. And I want to give a great accomplishment to my staff because they got out there and they sold and they showed everything that we've got to offer. And we got a great class that's coming in. I'm really, really excited about it. So moving from that point on, I'm going to go over a little video presentation. It's kind of got the person's name, have a few clips, and I'll talk about each one of them, and we're ready to go. Derek, we're ready to go? Okay. First of all, I want to talk the things. Brett said 42 players. Absolutely, we signed 42 players to change this program, and we're really excited about it. Obviously, we have a few that came in at semester, but our main address was offense and defensive line. We needed to solidify some depth there. There are very good players at that position, but our depth needed to get better. So we signed 10 offensive linemen this year, and then we signed 8 really, really high-quality defensive linemen to bolster that area as well, too. 1 running back, 6 receivers, 4 running backs, a quarterback, 7 linebackers, and 6 defensive backs. So that's where we kind of hit. We wanted to try to sign a whole recruiting class, a whole new team. Obviously, you have a lot of guys that had left, but we have to make sure that we fill that. Okay. Moving on from that, I'm going to start with our very first guy, with Marcus Brown. Marcus Brown is from Raytown South, 6'1", 190 pounds, linebacker. Had 93 tackles this year, 17 for loss, 4 forced fumbles. Actually got to play in the Gray All-American Bowl game and was a senior team captain. Very, very excited for him to be a part, local Kansas City native. Our next one, Devin Burton, a local St. Joe guy that we're really, really excited about. He is a very, very good player, one of the top 50 players in the state of Missouri. 3 consecutive years, he's all-district receiver. Played defense as well, too. Played both sides of the ball. And when you look at him, when he walks in the room, you're really excited. Anybody that sees him like, man, that guy just looks right. And we're really excited to have him. Obviously a local St. Joe native that's going to be coming and playing for us in the future. Our next one is Evan Shohan, 6'3", 215-pound linebacker. 2-time Nebraska All-State linebacker, played in the Shrine Bowl in 2017, 2-time All-Conference, 2-time All-District, and led the team in tackles for 2 years, played in 2015 state championship in Nebraska. Obviously has a sister that played volleyball here a few years ago as well too, so that was a great tie that we had in connection with him. Arnold Creighton, 6'3", 240-pound defensive line from Houston, Texas, Cy-Fair. He was a first-team All-District, first-team All-Academic District, and holds a squat record. And had 14 tackles for loss. Very, very talented player. Very, very active. And we're really excited to get him here and get him rolling throughout our program. Nate Dougherty, 6'5", 230-pound defensive lineman from Joplin, Missouri, Joplin High School. He was also a first-team All-Conference defensive end, second-team All-Conference tight end, first-team All-Area, and then also a first-team academic team conference as well too. And I do want to say this, is that when you go through our recruiting class and when you look at all of our guys, you guys are just seeing the pictures of them, you're seeing their videos right now, but you really need to see what they do in the classroom, as I'm excited about too. I would say over 50% of our guys that we sign or have some sort of academic scholarship to Missouri Western. So their grades are good. So we're getting high quality people, high quality athletes that want to win football games, that want to come to Missouri Western. Okay, moving on to the next. Bryce Eisenberger, 6'2", 200 pounds from Atchison, Kansas. He's a first-team All-League receiver, top 11 in the area. Another local kid not too far away from us that we're really excited to have him as well too. Spencer Edders from Lee Summit, Missouri, Lee Summit West. Very excited to have him. He's an honorable mention All-Conference 2013. Obviously played on the state championship at Lee Summit West. And the other thing I talked about, I talked a little bit earlier about academics, but if you look at all of these kids that we've signed and all the players that we've had for this signing class, is that they get good grades, they play on winning programs. That was another thing I wanted to focus on, is that you want to bring kids from winning programs into your program so they know what it takes to accomplish the goals that we're going to accomplish here. Cameron Evans from Neptune Beach, Florida, Fletcher High School, Gateway Conference, honorable mention, played in the Border War state in Florida. Very active player, quick twitched, plays with his hands very well, and another person that's going to add a lot of depth to our defensive line as well too. Okay, this guy right here, Shamar Griffin. If anybody can catch him or touch him, I'd be surprised in this room or in the MIAA. He's very electric. He gets a ball in his hands, and he just makes things happen. And we're really excited. Now Coach Poe, our offensive coordinator, can't wait to get the ball to him and see what he can do in the MIAA. He just makes people miss. He has a lot of instincts, and he does a lot of really, really good things that's going to help our offense in the future. Another very talented running back as well too, that we've got coming, following up right behind. These two guys in the backfield are going to be fun to watch in the future. I can tell you that for sure. From St. Charles, Missouri, Francis Howell North. His name's Donnell Hawkins, 5'8", 185 pounds. Special Teams Player of the Year, second team All-Conference running back in 2015. Offensive Player of the Year for the GAC South Conference, first team All-Athlete, All-District running back that year as well too. Okay, moving on to our next one. We had to make sure we had a good, big, physical offensive line, and Dalton Hill is one of them that we added there. From Center, Missouri, Twain High School. So first team All-Conference, first team All-District, second team All-State offensive lineman, and he is going to be very, very important to our future, let alone obviously an offensive line. You've got to have and develop a very good offensive line to make sure that you have success controlling line of scrimmage, but also winning the football game and controlling the clock. And that's one of the guys that we've added there. Another very talented player that we've added that position as well too is Jace Hollingsworth from Odessa High School, Kansas City area, 6'4", 280 pounds. He was also an all-conference first team all-conference, second team all-conference defensive lineman, and first team all-conference state team as well too. Now the thing I liked about him is he played both ways, and that's fun when you got a kid, when he just focuses just on one side of the ball. It's going to be fun to watch what he can accomplish because he's been playing every snap of the game. Now we're going to focus him just on the offensive line where he'll be very successful in that. Spencer Hollowell from Liberty, Missouri, Liberty High School, 153 varsity tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 3-year varsity starter, 2-time all-conference awards, honors. He's played outside linebacker, defensive end, middle linebacker, and his father has played at Missouri Western as well too, one of the great linebackers here in the past. So we're really lucky to have an alum's son to come play for us. Everett Horton, moving on to the next one, a defensive back from Kansas City, Missouri, Park Hill South High School, two-time first team all-conference, first team all-district as well too, and second team all-district, third team all-state. Obviously conference champs. I like this kid. He's just got a little nasty in him, and the one thing I say about nasty is that he actually plays on a rugby team as well too. He's out there and he plays football in the fall, and then he plays rugby in the spring. And I have a lot of respect for those rugby guys. They do a lot of stuff, physicalness stuff, without pads on. So he is one of their team captains for the rugby team. So we're excited to have him because he's going to light some people up. Jacob Johnson from Nevada, Missouri, Nevada High School. It's a 2016 West Central Conference All-Conference defensive end. He plays defensive end, linebacker. He's had a lot of success, and he's a very talented long snapper as well too. And we knew that we needed to fill that spot after graduation from our last class to fill that as well too. Okay, moving on to the next one. We've got Austin Kemp from Oak Grove High School, Missouri. He was a second team all-conference offensive lineman. He's placed in the 285-pound heavyweight division in wrestling, like that as well too. Greco-Roman state champion. Very successful wrestler in dual sports. A lot of the kids that you're watching on the film and that you're taking a look at now are dual sport athletes as well too. That is very important to me because they're competitive year-round, and that's what we're looking for, is to get into the competitiveness and make sure that they're always competing to increase. All right, next, moving on to Riley King, 6'3", 285 pounds. He's another offensive lineman from Derby, Kansas. First team offensive varsity leader, 4 years in high school, and they won 3 state championships. Obviously a great, great football program, and he is a very big man, and he's ready to go, and he's absolutely awesome in the classroom as well too. He's got a very high GPA and very high standards, and we're really proud to have him. Now, one of the guys he's going to be going against every single day is going to be Donovan Lukens from Wentzville, Missouri, Timberland High School, around the St. Louis, St. Charles area there. 6'4", 225 pounds. He is very, very well gifted with his athleticism. He actually is placed in state as well too in the running. He does a lot of track and does a lot of things with that as well too. But he's a great defensive end. I think getting him in this program, working him through our program and our system, once he learns everything, he is going to be very electric on the edge and be very good for our defensive system. Okay, am I going too fast, Coach Derek? All right. Here we go. Moving on to the next one. Kyron Mason, 5'10", 180 pounds, running back from Kansas City, Missouri, from William Crispin. Coach Horn coached him last year and had the opportunity to work with him, and we brought him on. Had 739 yards rushing last year, 12 touchdowns and 1,092 all-purpose yards, and was an all-conference player for us. Very talented running back. Going back to the offense and defensive line here for a little bit, we've got Ryan Mills. He is a defensive lineman from West Des Moines, Iowa, Dowling Catholic. He was first-team All-State defensive lineman, first-team All-District, team captain, and they were four-time state champions through his high school. His older brother actually played basketball here at Missouri Western I believe about 4 or 5 years ago, and has had a lot of success. And that was one of the other connections we had here as well too, is that there's a lot of things now when we go out into the schools and we go out into the high schools, there are a lot of alums that are very supportive, but a lot of alums that are out there that are willing to help, that are and getting in contact with us and letting us know that there's some great ones that that we can work on, and they've helped us out a bunch. All right, moving on to the offensive lineman now. Luke Murphy, 6'4", 290 pounds. The Shore Linwood High School. He was a first-team All-Conference, second-team All-Metro, two-time honorable mention All-State, 2015. He is another big man that's going to be wreak some havoc in the MIAA on the offensive line. All right. Now moving on to the defensive back, we've got Isaiah Patrick, 6'1", 185 pounds. Great kid, great family. Excited to have him on campus. He is going to be a hawk in the backfield. He's going to be he had 102 tackles. He's a defensive MVP of the district, and he's also an honor roll athlete, as well as a team captain for the team at Rockbridge High School. He was one of our guys that we worked really hard and put a lot of effort into him, because he was one of those guys that you're looking for at the safety position, a leader. You want him to be your safeties, to be one of your captains, and they're like the quarterback on the opposite side of the ball. So we're really excited to have him. Hunter Patterson, linebacker from Olathe, Kansas, Olathe Northwest, 6'1", 185 pounds. He's a very talented player, athlete, moves around really well, and I can see him getting on the field pretty quick. He's got a little niche to him on the football field. When you watch his film and you watch his clips, he just makes things happen. We're excited to get him here, because I can see him pushing for some special team stuff early when he gets on campus here. Another good one right here that I wanted to talk about is Cody Richardson, a defensive lineman from Green Valley High School, 6'3", 230 pounds. He is a big, physical kid. And you talk about kids, and you watch a lot of these players, when you're looking at their film and this coaching staff sat down and spent a bunch of hours watching them, you want to watch for things like effort and just the passion when they play. When you can tell that it's just instinctive, that they can't give up. They want to go. They believe they're going to make the play every time the ball is snapped. And that's one of those guys right there that really impressed us as a staff on the film when we watched his film. Okay, moving on to the next player. It's Charles Satnan. He is 6'8". He's a large man as well too. 6'8", 235 pounds. He's an offensive lineman from Sedalia Smith Cotton High School. He also is a long snapper as well too, very talented long snapper, and will be doing some really good things for us in the future. He'll be 290 before you know it, and we're excited to get him on the offensive line, have Coach St. Louis work with him for a while. Next, going with another lineman again here, Austin Schaefer-Cotter. He is 6'2", 240 pounds. Defensive lineman from Sullivan, Missouri, Sullivan High School. He was a two-time first-team All-Conference offense and defensive lineman, two-time first-team All-District, the same, 2015 Class 4 All-State defensive end, and 2016 first-team All-Area offense and defensive lineman. He is another one that plays both sides of the ball. Hardly ever comes off the field. Really like that when you're watching film. He is going to grow into a tremendous defensive lineman for us, and he'll be one of the anchors for us in the future as he grows and gets bigger. The next player we've got is the defensive back, Ethan Scott, 6'3", 190 pounds from Yukon, Oklahoma, Yukon High School. definitely very talented player on the back end. He was a typical free safety type kid that can run the alley very well, very sure tackler. He played most of the time on the offensive side of the ball. He was actually their quarterback and did a bunch of different things outside as playing defense as well too. But we took him as an athlete just because he is special with the ball in his hands, but also he's got clips defensively where he'll just knock your socks off. And we're very, very excited to have him. Montreal Scott, a defensive back, corner from the St. Louis area, suburban 12th, all-conference first team, Missouri Media second, all-state team, and then led the conference in interceptions, had 31 tackles, 16 assisted, fumble recovery, and some defensive returns for 114 yards. Very gifted athlete on the edge, going to be able to play on the corner for us and have a lot of success. All right, here we go. We got another local guy, Israel Smith from St. Joe Central High School. Very, very excited to have him. He played running back and defensive back as well too. He was a guy that's electric with the ball in his hands. But he is one of the guys, when I watched his film, it just continued to hit people and hit people and hit people and knock people out. And so we ended up taking him as an athlete. But I think it's going to be hard to keep him off the defensive side of the ball as much as he likes to hit people and as physical as he. But again, very proud and very excited to get another St. Joe native, very good player that's going to go through our program and have a lot of success, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Okay, moving on to Will Smith, 6'2", 200 pounds from Troy High School, Troy, Kansas. He was a first-team All-State defensive end, second-team All-State offensive lineman, All-League defensive lineman, All-League offensive lineman, and he's an All-League punter as well too. All that doesn't usually go together on the same thing, but he's had a lot of success over there in Troy and is very successful, plays on both sides of the ball, does a lot of great things on the football field, and we're definitely pumped about having him. All right. Now another linebacker, Bryce Steffens, 6'1", 220 pounds from St. James Academy in Kansas, Lenexa, Kansas. He's two-time honorable mention, all-state linebacker. Also played on the USA national football team member as well too. He's a very sure tackler. He's going to be in the box linebacker for us that moves really well, changes direction well, and always has a little nose for the ball. He's going to get there, and he's going to make sure that he has a lot of success in that area, taking care of the inside run game. All right, here we go, another St. Joe, Missouri, Bishop LeBlond High School, Andrew Stroud, 6'3", 300 pounds, 4-year starter at Bishop LeBlond, has had a lot of accolades. I can't even read them all down here, but he is noted as getting first-team all-conference, all-city, all-district, all-state, news press, a lot of various awards, and he's very talented, and he's going to help our offensive line and the depth there and make sure that we're very successful there with Coach Poe and the offensive coordinators. All right, next, moving on, we've got Zach Supis, 6 foot, 195 pounds, local Kansas City kid as well too, from Park Hill South. He's an all-conference kid in Class 6A, honorable mention linebacker. He's a kid that kind of moves around. They had him in different positions and did a lot of different things for them, but he also is a very talented football player, just has a little knack to be in the right place at the right time. Okay, another linebacker from Omaha, Nebraska, Miller North High School, very good high school there as well too. He's 2015 state champion, led the 2015 team with rushing touchdowns, 191,977 career all-purpose yards. 2016, 11 tackles for loss, 75 tackles, first-team all-state linebacker. Again, he is another talented player that plays on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And what we wanted to focus on this year as a group and as a recruiting class is to get great athletes. There's a lot of great coaching here. There's a lot of great players in this area within the circumference of St. Joseph and outside of the surrounding states close, that all we got to do is get the great players and athletes there and let our coaching staff work with them and expand them to reach their potential and beyond their potential. Okay. Moving on to the next one, we got Tayshawn Wrench, 5'7", 155 pounds, Kansas City from Ruskin High. 2016 All-District, second team All-Conference DB, and 2 interceptions, and a team leader in tackles. Got a lot of guys that led the team in tackles. That's what you want defensively when you're recruiting kids and looking at good players as well too. Back to the offensive line again. Keegan Zars, monster. Has not shaved yet at all, and he's 6'5", 295 pounds. He is going to be a beast. And we are really excited about him because he's going to grow into, I call, a monster on that offensive line, and he's going to be a pillar there for us in the future. Played for the 5A state champions, first team All-State. We walked in his house, met his family, great family. Our coaching staff did a great job, pulled him out of about 4 other schools in our conference. As soon as we got here, he was one of the guys we targeted as well too, and we're really lucky to have him and get him up here, and we're excited to get him rolling and working with Coach St. Louis. Okay, now that's most of the offense, or that's most of the, I believe, all of the high school kids that we have brought in for this signing class. I'm going to move on to our transfers real quick, and then I'll open up for any questions that anybody might have at all. Okay, Adrian Davis just got here. He's 6'4", 205 pounds. He's with Southeast Missouri State. Very talented player. He was a FCS freshman All-American, and he started 3 years at Southeast Missouri State. We had a connection there that we had some friends that he ended up leaving, and we got him in. He transferred that semester, and he is very, very good, and we're really excited to get him the ball. He is very dynamic with his hands, and he is a very dynamic athlete to attack the ball and go get it up in the air. So he'll be a definite weapon for us in the future with Coach Poe and his staff. Next player that we've got, a transfer from, 4-year transfer from South Dakota State. He played with South Dakota State this year, traveled with them, played in a few games. He ended up transferring because they didn't have his degree at South Dakota State, and they had it at Missouri Western. And it ended up working out great for us because he's a very talented player. He's going to be really good. He has 3 years left, but he's an offensive line, 6'4", 300 pounds, from Iowa. He was first team All-Western Iowa. He's second team All-State. He's had a lot of awards, does a lot of really good things. All right, another receiver transfer that we got this semester was Vanel DeSuze, 6 foot, 109 pounds. He's from Hamilton, New Jersey. He is a transfer from Bowling Green. Played with them, had a lot of success there as well too. And fortunately, we got him to transfer, and we'll be getting him the ball as well too in the future. He was a first team all punt returner and second team all league wide receiver for that. So he is an electric player as well too. All right, we got 2 more that we're working through, and then I'll answer a couple questions if anybody has any. Dom Marino, not in conjunction with Dan Marino at all, but he's a quarterback, 6'2", 200 pounds, from Sarasota, Florida. He played at East Central Mississippi. He signed out of high school with Florida Atlantic, was there for a year, transferred to junior college, and then we picked him up this semester, and he's in here throwing the ball around as well too. He's a first team All-State, offensive MVP, and the regular season passing touchdown champion with 23. He is here and working out with the team and learning our system. And then last but not least, we have Alec Wallingsford, very talented long snapper. He is transferring from Lincoln University. He also plays offensive line as well too. Between those two, we're really excited to have him. Obviously, we had to fill our long snapping needs with a graduation of one, and he ended up working in at semester, and we're really excited to have him. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the 42 players of the Griffin football signing class. And if anyone has any questions, I would love to answer them for you.
Questions? Coach, just talk about the process of you guys getting in here, getting that brand that you're talking about. How challenging was that in new positions for all of you guys to get that brand out and get these kids here?
I can't remember. I still don't know what happened. It happened so fast. We got everybody here, and it's tough when you bring in a staff. You're changing families and lives and everything, just trying to get everybody here. Once we got everyone here, everybody left. And I was on the road. We were all over the place, just bouncing from one state to another, from one high school to another, to get caught up on who we wanted to focus on and who the class that we wanted to put together. And then in between those times when everybody's flying around, which is actually really jagged, you got to try to organize a time when everybody gets back without having someone drive back 5 hours and then go back out right after you meet. So you have to really work around a lot of things and make sure that it's structured. And that's what we did for about a week and a half. Everybody be out. We'd come back and meet for about 4 or 5 hours, and then bam, everybody's back out again. But we had to make sure we covered all of our tracks, make sure we uncovered every stone, and try to get the best signing class. Obviously, this is my very first signing class, and it's a really, really good one, but we want to make sure it was very good. And the next ones to come are going to even be better every single year, because we're going to have more time and we're going to be more prepared, and we will have most of our recruiting done in the spring compared to starting from scratch in December.
What's your philosophy on high school kids? Do you want to redshirt them? If they're good enough, will you play them right away?
I've had that question asked me 100 times in a house when we go meet with the parents and we sit down with the families. Are you going to redshirt them? Are you not going to redshirt them? It all depends. This is college football, so there's no politics. There's no, my dad's the administrator anymore, anything like that. It's the best player is going to play. So if a kid comes in and he's mentally prepared and he can figure out what we're trying to do as a system, he's physically prepared enough. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But if they're ready and they walk in there and they're ready from right from the get-go, our coaches are going to give them that opportunity. And once they get that opportunity, they see they might have a chance to play, it's really hard to tell a kid, hey, we're going to redshirt you, because he knows he has the opportunity to play. And the toughest thing, number one toughest thing to do is to be a redshirt freshman, because you don't get to play any football at all. You're just practicing and lifting, practicing and lifting. And it's really tough. You really got to lift those guys up and carry them along as the season goes along. I would love to try to redshirt everybody. That's the best case scenario, but some of them are going to be ready to come in, ready to rock and roll right away, and we're just going to let them go.
Your transfers, do you expect those guys, I know a lot of them are here right now, do you expect them to be instant impact guys?
You want all your transfers to be instant impact guys. That's what you bring transfers in my opinion, for. I am not going to be a person that just grabs transfers from all over the place. I want a 4-year to 5-year kid that builds tradition and pride within the program, and then we're going to implement areas with those transfers to help us become stronger depth-wise and talent-wise in a few areas as well too.
You mentioned when you got here, before you went out to get this recruiting class, you sat down and watched film of last year's team. What did you assess? What did you think of last year's team and what you had coming back?
Watching last year's film, there's a lot of talent. There's a great core on this team. And there's a lot of things that we're going to work with, and we address that as we talk about it through our recruiting process as well too. I think the number one thing, just a couple game changers, is what we needed to add to the core of this team. There's a bunch of really good players, but I wanted to add a couple just difference maker game changers that'll make it offensively and defensively very electric.
A lot of the guys on this staff, on your staff, a lot of FCS experience and Division I experience. Are you able to go recruit those types of kids to Missouri Western because of the facilities here and your coaching staff? Absolutely.
I agree 100%. And again, when we get around to this point next year, you have to be in kids' faces and in their homes and tweeting them and texting them and doing all of that stuff year-round. And when we can get to that point where we're here, and I'm here for a full year, and we get to that point, we'll be able to get the guys that we want, and we'll be able to take guys away from those schools as well too. I totally believe that.
Are you surprised you got 42 kids in a short amount of time?
Yes, I'm very surprised, to be honest with you. And it was a lot of work. Our staff was awesome, and I can't say enough about them, that they just worked their tails off. And you can look at them; they're all like this. They're ready. We're getting about 3 or 4 days off after today. So as soon as we break from here, they're going to go spend time with their family and just kind of recharge, get ready to rock and roll, because we're coming back in and we're starting a new off-season program that's going to start on Monday, this next Monday at 6 p.m. So.
I want to say on the quarterback side, what are on the quarterback? Is Scholar going to be the quarterback?
Well, no one on the team has a position solidified as of yet, so everyone has to work for a position. Skylar's a very talented quarterback. I've watched his film. He does a lot of really, really good things. But him and a defensive end or a receiver or running back, anybody that's on this program's team is going to have to earn their position in the spring. And they're going to have to earn it every spring and every fall at all times. And it starts right now with this workout program as well too. They're going to have to earn it in there because that's where they're going to earn our trust, is knowing that they're committed and they're working hard, and they're trying to better themselves, not just on the football field, but physically, mentally, and obviously preparing themselves for spring ball, getting ready to go.
Coach, obviously you had a short window for this first class. What was your strategy going in? Were you just looking for the best athletes? Were you looking for certain positions? How did you approach putting the class together?
Offense and defensive line was the number one focus, 100%, right from the get-go. Our offensive line is very talented. There's a lot of guys coming back, but the depth behind them, there weren't a lot of numbers. I mean, there were no numbers behind them at all. So that made us as a staff say we've got to get a bunch of guys, and that's why we signed 10 of them to make sure that it helps our depth. And in the future, we'll sign more next year, and we're going to be very, very deep there because you have to be talented at the offensive line or you're not going to have any success on the offense. And then defensive line-wise, they've lost quite a few very electric players over the last few years on the defensive line, and we felt and me just being a defensive coach, if you don't have a great defensive line, it doesn't matter who's in the back end. If you've got a great safeties and corners and linebackers, your defensive line is the core of that unit. So we've got to make sure that we bolstered that up and make sure it was very, very strong. And I'm really excited about our defensive line signing class.
When you recruit a player, what's the ultimate fit? You use some terms like electric, and you talk about the quality of the individual and academics as well. When you go into a home, what are you looking for in an ideal student athlete for your program?
We're looking, obviously, when a recruit is kind of checking out, see where he's going to go, he wants it to kind of be a perfect fit. But for us, it's the exact same way. And I talked to our coaching staff about this. Well, and in recruiting, you talk about red flags. If this guy, he's in this area, he's not very good, or we've heard some things about this guy, or that, we just take them off the board. It's not someone that we want to bring to our program and introduce them and intervene them into our system and what we're doing, because all it does is just jumble things up, and then obviously that person ends up leaving. So we do our job as recruiters, as our coaching staff, to make sure that we're looking for all those things to make sure that he is the academic person that wants to get his degree, that is focused on getting his academics. We want to make sure that he's committed to athletics, just challenging himself every single day. We want to make sure he's got great characteristics behind him as well too, on and off the field. So it's a whole picture. But we go in there and we tell them, hey, the number one thing, I walk in, I just say, if you just want to come play ball at Missouri Western, we don't want you to come. And it's a lot blunt. That's just who I am sometimes. But if they come here just to play, they're going to end up flunking out and not having success in the classroom, and then they're going to hurt us in the long run because we're going to start losing guys in and out, and then we're going to have holes, and then you have to jump into the transfer game, and I do not want to do that. So we're going to make sure that our whole process throughout the recruiting system, they fit the piece of the puzzle that we're trying to fit. And if we're not going to force it, and then once we get to that point, then we want them to be hungry to be a Griffin. I don't want to beg them, come, you got to beg. I want them hungry. And a lot of them, and I'm telling you, that's the guys you want to take, because they're going to stick. And I'm telling you, that's how it worked. Is those first 2 weekends that we had in, it was like 85% of the kids. We had like 40-something kids, and I think 85% of them jumped in the boat, said, I'm committing, I'm not going anywhere else. They took all the other schools in our conference that followed behind us, not taking visit, called and said they weren't going on their visits. So they locked in with us, we locked in with them, and they're with us now.
Matt, to follow up on that question from Facebook Live.
Oh, that's not my wife.
Yeah, it's not your wife. I'm surprised. The question is basically with the culture of kids and you talk about the culture and the impact players, how will that be able to allow Missouri Western to compete with the national champions of the road?
Well, I think what's going to happen is the kid, if you've came, and everybody's talking around this building as well too, but if you've watched some of our workouts and you've kind of seen the change that's happening already, and the coaching staff's not even here full time yet, working with those kids, but the change and everything that you've seen within the last about 3 weeks once the kids got back, I'm excited, and I can't wait till Monday to start working with them every single day. We're out there and we're challenging them, we're grinding them, and making them better football players. But they're going to jump on ship. This whole class that we're signing, they're already on. So when they walk in the doors and we have the nucleus and the core set up here, it's going to combine together really quick, and then we're just going to roll from that point on.
Jesse, Coach, how important was it to this coaching staff to get some kids from the St. Joe area high schools?
It drove me every day to make sure I got somebody. There's always been great kids that come out of the St. Joe School District. When I was here before, Eric McDowell was a great one. He was from Savannah, a local kid. No one recruited him. He walked on. Next thing you know, he's an All-American. And he's a kid that I coach. So there's a lot of great players around here. And I wanted to make sure that I got some. And you just never know. The toughest thing about recruiting is there's a lot of people, there might be a great running back at St. Joe Central that we love. But we might have 6 running backs on the team where you can't offer a scholarship because you can't get overloaded in one position more than the other, so you get stuck a little bit. And that's the toughest thing that a lot of people don't see is like, hey, man, you should have taken this guy. Well, if we're full there and we're really, really dead, even though you wanted him, you're going to hurt yourself in another position. But it worked out great because we needed offensive linemen, all right, and we needed safety outside linebacker type kids. All right, and then we needed an electric receiver that can do things with the ball in his hands. So we got 3 of them. I mean, I'm pumped to get every single one of them because that's going to help the community. It's going to help just the tradition, and hopefully we just create a total pipeline to any kid from St. Joe. We keep them here and keep them playing for the Griffs.
Anybody else? Oh, right here in the front. Coach.
Okay, well, my question is on kicking. What do you think about kicking, and how do you react to it, and what do you think on kicking?
Like a kicker?
You got to work on that kicking.
Okay, yeah, we've got some kickers on our team. They're doing really well. We're actually putting them in when we go and do our workouts in the afternoon or in the mornings. When we do this, we've already started this. We'll be running through some stuff. Guys will be winded, and then we'll slap them out there, and they have to make a decision if they're going to make the kick or not, and mentally. So we're mentally challenging them already. And if they don't make it, then we go a little bit extra longer with the team. So there's a lot of pressure on them already. And that's one of the biggest things you have to get as a kicker to make sure you got guys that can handle that as well too. And we're going to, obviously we've got 2 kickers, actually 3 kickers, and we have a punter as well too that are talented, very live legs. We just got to make sure we get them through the mental capacity of that as well too. And we're going to sign. There's a couple other areas that we have a few extra scholarships that we're going to work in, and that's one of them that we're working on right now to pick up a extra kicker for some depth there as well too. Okay.
So you're not finished
No, sir. We've got some more. We'll pick up a few more here in the future.
any ballpark number-wise?
No, not really. I mean, we're looking. There's a couple other spots that we want to make sure that we're solidified as a defensive line wise. If we can find a transfer in that area, we'll try to take one there. Kicking, we're going to try to sign another high school kid that can kind of work through for the next 4 to 5 years of our future. And then offensive line, probably an offensive lineman maybe to help us with depth as well too, probably at the tackle position. Those are our main focuses right now. We're not going to take a guy just to get a guy. We're going to take a guy that's going to help us, try to help us immediately and put us in a good position.
Anybody else? Any other questions?